Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Teach, Sleep, Repeat. My name is Dylan.
And my name's Hayden.
And it is September. And we know what September means, don't we, Hayden? It's back to school. So we have got a podcast episode today jam-packed with our best tips on how to absolutely smash the new year with your new class.
Well, that's the passionate intro done. Let's dive in.
Right, Hayden, between us, we've got 19 years experience teaching in a primary school.
Decade and single-digit number for you. Yeah.
I wouldn't bother splitting it up, don't matter.
Well, I think it's relevant, isn't it, really?
When you add up the number, it's 19.
Two-digit number, one-digit number. We're experienced between us.
Lots of experience.
Some more than others.
Loads of experience between us. That's all that matters. 19 when you add up. So I think we're well placed, is what I'm trying to say here. Equally well placed to talk about how to have the best possible start to a new year. Because I remember every single time in September when I started with my new class, I had the best of intentions to hit the ground running and get the most out of the kids as soon as I could and just get myself in a really good place.
All right then, Dylan. So why don't you jump in right now with your literal top tip? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
I remember being told this because I was moved to year 3, worked in a junior school, moved to year 3, and anyone out there who's worked in a junior school where they start in year 3, it is just so common that behavior, routines, etc. are way more important than ever because the kids simply don't know your school.
Yeah.
They'd had their own routine somewhere else and they're coming into this brand new school. And I remember going to year 3 and the head of year in year 3, she was amazing. And she said, Dylan, just simplify it. And this has stuck with me. And it's something I do now, whatever year group I'm in. She said, just simplify your expectations and your rules. So we all know it's important to have rules. Mm-hmm. We all can sit there and see people saying, in September, establish routines quickly, etc. We know all that. For our class. That's obviously important. But her point was, have fewer rules, but really strictly abide by them and enforce them and be super, super stringent on you all have to do this. And I thought, okay, I'll give that a go. That makes sense. And what it did was it allowed me to be super, super, super clear that these are my 2 or 3 rules that we have all agreed on are important, and you simply cannot break that rule. Yeah. And you are on it from day one. So, for example, one would be not to get out of your chair.
Yeah, such a good one, isn't it?
Okay, because we're talking about younger children here. This obviously won't necessarily be necessary when you're in year 6, but you can change it to whatever.
Oh, it is, mate. It is, I'll tell you that right now.
Exactly. But the teacher, it can be malleable because the idea is simply just have 2 or 3 rules that for you are so, so important to get from day one. Because other stuff, you can enforce it. You can say it's important to do. I'm not saying other rules don't exist, of course, but these are the 3 that you constantly do. And if someone breaks that rule, you say to them, no, listen, we don't do that. For year 3, it was getting out of your chair, like I said, and it was putting your hand up to say something.
Yeah, okay.
And it was as simple as that because from her experience, having done year 3 for many years, those are the low level things that happened consistently all the way from the start to the first day. And it was just laying down that rule of, we don't do that here. That's the rule. No, stop. No, we don't do that. What does the rule say? And point to the rule on the board.
Yeah.
And it was really effective. And I've kept that all the way through, and I've done that whenever I've got a new class. I've just decided on 2 or 3 things that I will focus on at that time. It doesn't mean nothing else is important, but it means that this is our core focus. And when we've nailed that, I'll swap the rule. I'm going to bring a new rule in because we're so good now. We know it's hand up. I don't need to have it on the board. I don't need to remind you every 2 minutes. We've really established that now. The next thing we're going to focus on now is you must do this in your work, or you must do that.
I think it's such a good tip because how many times before you were doing this, and I know I've been a sucker for this forever, how many times have you been like, right, here are all 6 of our rules or 10 of our rules, whatever your school does, and then you yourself can't really keep on top of them. Like things just slip because you're doing 50 things all the time and you just didn't notice that kid getting out of their chair and they came and asked you a question and you just answered it.
Right.
But when it's like one of 2 rules that you're focusing on, you'll be way more hyper aware of it, and so will the kids. So it will actually have an impact because I'll say again, when you've had classes come up and you do notice some classes, you can tell where teachers have absolutely hammered stuff like this, whether it's like you in year 3 and the other teacher, because when they do get to year 6, it's so embedded, those particular rules. And then you can focus on other things, like you said. So it does make a really good impact on you in the time. And also your partner teachers and fellow professionals will be thanking you, I think, in future years. It's
that, isn't it? It's this idea of, we say it across everything, that when we're focusing on something, even if it's like professional development, like we did a podcast episode recently about new teachers and how to learn. And when they go and watch a different teacher teach, focus on one thing, focus on behavior, improve that. And then once you've got that, move on to something else. Because I feel like as a teacher, it can be so easy to fall into that trap of thinking we have to fix everything immediately and be perfect from day one. It's not going to happen. Okay. But like, you're absolutely right. Your point you made there was exactly what happened, which was I would find myself saying to the class, no, of course we don't get out of our chair. No, we don't shout out. But then even if just one kid goes 42 and I go, yes, well done.
Yeah.
What am I doing
It's
at that
ruined.
point? I'm saying, okay, well, that I'm rewarding this child for essentially breaking a rule. And then someone else might think, oh, he did it, I'll do it as well. What, you didn't tell him off when he got the answer right? Well, why are you telling me off? So it just allowed me to be like, okay, look, the other stuff that might slip, fine, but this won't for any of us. And the kids bought into it. And do you know what? It really had an impact, I thought, really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me a bit of I did the same thing with toilets, letting kids go to the toilet. Obviously, you let kids go to the toilet, but there's been occasions where we're just about to sit down. They say, "Can we go?" And I say, "Oh, just give it a minute. We'll start. Let me just finish literally my sentence rather than interrupting mid, and then you can go." And another kid might say, and you go, "Yeah, off you go." And you think, "Oh my god, like, you have to be consistent." It's so bad to be inconsistent. I think with things like toilets and behavior rules and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, really good tip. Another one from me is a bit of a smaller tip, just like a quick win. I think at the start of the year, I implemented this as quick as I could during my career, which is just learn the kids' names like ASAP. I think in my first year, I did it anyway because I was, working every single day over the summer, as we established in the previous episode. I was just constantly working because I was scared of starting the job. But I think in subsequent years, I did start to get a bit more relaxed, and maybe it'd be a week or 2 weeks before I'd finally learn everyone's names. I don't think that was good practice because after that, I was like, no, it's obviously better for the kids' sake and just for your sake, really, to just know all the kids' names. And if you're like me and you find it quite hard to remember that much information, just remember.
I'm amazed you're here today. Well done for remembering to go.
I just happened to be here. I was hoping there was going to be some food lying around or something. And you were like, should we record?
Do the podcast.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. You've eaten all the Whisper Golds, so I guess I'll come up here and do that.
So, yeah, why is it important, though?
I think it's just for fostering that bond with the kids. Like, in the same way, it's if you worked somewhere.
It's respect.
Yeah, if you worked somewhere and the head teacher didn't know your name after a week, you'd be a bit like, come on, learn my name. It's basic courtesy. Do you know what I mean? So, but you can do things if you're just not very good at remembering. Make it a game. What was the thing you did? Was it something did you rhyme the name or something?
Yeah, like this was something as well that I did on transition day, because you tend to meet your class. Most places in the country in England will have a transition day at the end of the previous year where you meet your class meets their teacher and you meet the class. And on that day, we would establish like names, and I'd say I'd make a joke. I'd tell them, I need to learn your names. You need to learn one name, which is my name. I need to learn 32. That's a lot, isn't it? And we make a joke and it's funny. So we just break the ice straight away. Because what I wouldn't want is it to then be like, half an hour in, I don't know someone's name and I'm pretending like, oh, hello, you. I do know your name. You don't get awkward with the kids. They're kids. Just be really honest with them and then make it fun. And in that, we did a little game, really simple one, where I said to them, you're with your partner now, or you're on your table. You need to think of an adjective that you can put with your name that makes an alliterative sentence.
Oh, alliteration.
So, for example, for Dylan, it might be like dynamic Dylan, or for Hayden, it might be hairy Hayden. I mean, obviously not in your case.
Yeah, probably not me.
But what for the children would then have fun thinking of a word, and they talk about it with each other, and then it would help me kind of anchor their name with a word. And I'd find myself being able to remember it more, because instead of just thinking of James, I'd be thinking of Jumping James. And instead of just thinking of Holly, I'd be thinking of Happy Holly. It would help me to kind of embed that. And then the kids could call themselves that. And in that lesson where I had with them for the first day, the rule was that I imposed is I had to say their full name. That was part of it. And I go, oh, you're the happy one, aren't you? And they'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, okay, it's an H. Like I'd get a little bit.
Mr. Price, why do you keep calling me Boring Billy? Well, it's alliteration, mate. Get over it, all right? It's not your name.
Some of the kids did choose some adjectives where I was like, I actually can't use those. So let's think of a different one, because I cannot have, no matter what the context is, the head teacher walk around and go, everything okay in here? And I'm in the middle of saying Boring Billy or something like that.
Exactly.
So, no, okay, I did that.
Has to be positive, yeah. Well, that's a much nicer way of doing it. Like my one is a bit more boring, but I just get the kids to make like a little name label as well. So they have a bit of card, they fold it over, and they design it, and it's quite cute. And they just put it on the table facing me, and I'm like, guys, and I'm like you, I make the joke. I say, guys, I don't know all your names yet. It takes me a bit of time. I said, I don't like pointing, but if I'm pointing at you saying boy, then there's people I don't know your name yet. So maybe have your card. I'll have all sorts of jokes with them. Say, boy at the back, at the back. Yes, you. And I say, I can't see your card, so otherwise I would give you a name. Silly things like that. But I do really, really make the effort to learn them.
Yeah. Now, not in the middle of your career. Couldn't care less about those kids.
Yeah, no, not those ones. Absolutely not. But I just think it's important. Yeah, fostering that bond as early as you can by learning their names. Very simple trick, but worth doing.
Big thing for me, moving on from hapless Hayden and his inability.
You've been waiting,
a long time. Big one for me.
Dull Dylan.
Here we go. Every random point throughout this podcast. It's going to have something.
Not random points,
hazardous Hayden.
Not random points. Specifically when you're mid sentence, right in the moment you're about to say something useful.
Maybe we could have, if anyone's listening to this, they could comment down below of what their name would be.
Yeah.
We could do that. Right. Anyway, big one for me. And this is not just a pedagogical tool. It's also a tool, I think, for behavior, for everything, which is to model. Because I think my issue I had earlier on in my career was that I kind of assumed the kids knew how to act. How many times you found yourself as a teacher saying, year 4, we're not in year 3 anymore. Year 6, we're not down in year 2. What's going on? And it's like, it's such an easy thing to say, as if we've built this idea in our head of what a year 3 child looks like and what they can do and how they behave. And, you know, just showing the children how you want them to behave will make it more likely that they do that. So you should model everything. And I'm talking about, obviously, in lessons, you should be modeling the answers and the working out and the way you want to do things and how you want them to write, etc. But I'm talking about a separate point here, like model your manners. Model how you talk to other people and how you say please, and you don't just demand things like, I'm the teacher, give me respect. No, model these things. Be nice to the children.
100%.
Give them leeway. Say please and thank you. And, you know, lining up. Practice it. Practice lining up. Don't just line up and then when they don't do it properly the first time, go, excuse me, this is not how we line up in here.
Are you reception?
No, don't do that. Just say to them, well, we need to practice, obviously, don't we? Have a minute practicing. Have a minute practicing them, going, you know, handing out books, etc. I think my point here is don't just assume they know how to do stuff. Model it for them. And then 2, 3, 4 times down the line, you start going, we've done this. What are you doing?
Exactly.
To it.
Yeah, like almost like modeling expectations, like and being consistent. Like you said, it links with one of your other points. But even with I think of the lining up thing, it's such a classic thing to top load that beginning of the year. Everyone will be like super harsh, getting all the kids to line up, and you fast forward to the end of the year. How often has that slipped a bit, and people aren't, you know, holding the kids accountable as much anymore? You know, it's just being consistent, modeling all the time. This is the expectation. And it does stay the same, by the way, across the year. You are, however, exposing me because I'm sat here thinking, I had a compilation running through my head of how many times, obviously you tell kids not to throw stuff in the classroom, and I can just imagine me countless times sat there with an empty glue, being like, trying to lob it into the bin across the room, thinking, oh, this is absolutely not modelling.
Right, kids, listen, it's really important to eat healthily. That's why we don't have any chocolate or anything like that at break time. Walks in at you at break time eating a share bag of Whispers or something like that.
That was always Whisper Golds, isn't it? How many Whisper Golds do you reckon we've eaten in our life?
Too many.
Disgraceful.
Next tip, have a stash in your cupboard. Have a snack stash. I've made this tip up because actually it's really important. Have a stash. Have a little secret stash where you can just go to and you know you can just get that snack. You're just there, you think, I just need something. Maybe not like a gin. Don't put a gin.
Probably avoid the alcohol. But bananas, apples, you know, that's what we do.
Yeah. Crisps, more crisps, and then maybe a few more crisps as well.
You are such a crisp fan. The amount of times I've gone into Dylan's cupboard and there's been a multi-pack of crisps, empty, obviously, because, you know, why put the wrapper in the bin when you can leave it in the cupboard? And I'll be like, oh yeah, you've been cracking on with these, have you? Like, yeah, I bought them this morning. A whole multi-pack?
No. This is a gross misrepresentation. Yeah, because what would happen is I would have bought them 3 days ago, and I would have eaten them 3 days ago, and the wrapper's still there. So gross misrepresentation. Okay, right. Something else we want to talk about is doing jobs in bulk. We've said this a million times, haven't we? And we're specifically talking about here those mindless jobs that you just have to get done that can be so much more efficient to do in bulk, but you and I always should put off. But really, we should just get them done.
Yeah, there's the one that comes to mind, and it might be quite specific to our school, but I'm sure if you're listening, you can think of your version of this, right? Is at our school, we have had reading certificates. And it's one of those things where, realistically, I do expect every kid in my class to get to the first tier. So we have like a bronze, silver, gold, based on how much they've read, essentially. And it's like everyone's going to get the bronze at some point this year. But what is really annoying is they get the bronze, and then I have to print the certificate and write it, because we back it as well. If some of us do, or print it on a card or whatever. But it's just an annoying thing to do on the go. Whereas I could just print 32. And if I want to back them, I can back 32 in one go. Just do it in bulk. So the overall tip here is to think in bulk. Is there a job that is worth the time investment at the start? Because it will save you so much time ongoing through the year, where it would be really annoying to have to do one of the 32 things. If you can do that, just do it in bulk. Think in bulk.
Yeah. Do you know what would be even quicker? Not doing it. Don't bother.
Just don't do it at
well
all.
Done, kids.
Stop at the bit where you think in bulk. Think in bulk. Don't action in bulk.
Well, actually, I'll have you know that on the list of 23 jobs teachers shouldn't do because it's admin. It is bulk photocopying, actually.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah. So actually, I shouldn't actually be having to do that.
Shouldn't actually have to be doing, but I tell you what, if I've got to do the photocopying because for my lessons, I might just do it in bulk anyway. To be honest with you.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I think that's a good tip. And can you think of any other jobs like that you can just get done in bulk? For me, what I always found myself doing, like at certain points in the year when children start finishing their exercise book, And I'm like,
Mm.
oh, I should out the cupboard just take enough for another set so
Yeah.
that my class can just take a book. I never do. I take like 2.
Yeah.
And then I'll take 2, right? I'll take 2. I'll go around. And the next day, 3 people are finished.
Yeah,
I'm like, I gotta go back
I'm
in.
exactly the same.
So little things like that, where just think ahead, like your kids are going to need another maths book at some point.
Yeah.
So just have enough maths books there, even just, have it a system in place so that if they ever get to that point, you can just take it out. And I'm talking here about things that literally genuinely take you no time whatsoever.
Yeah.
Just organization.
Yeah, just do it. We've been quite lucky because we've worked in schools where at least they just have to write their name on the book. It's quite common for a lot of schools. They'll have covers. You have to print and trim a cover and stick it on the book. And I remember I worked in a school like that before, and the best thing I ever did was doing it in bulk at the start of the year. I was like, obviously they're going to need a maths book 2 at some point. So when I printed maths book 1, I just printed 32 of maths book 2 as well, and just also stuck them on. I was like, well, that job's just done.
Do you know what? That really the point there is to not do that.
yeah, I know, I
Jesus,
agree.
and covering a book.
Wasn't that pointless?
Completely pointless.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and that I suppose it's not really a tip again, but thinking of smashing September, I do think, I'm kind of making this point up now, by the way, you should have a list of things, right, that you have just predetermined that even if you think is a waste of time and stupid and pointless, if you've decided you're going to do them because you're just like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with this, but okay, whatever, I'm just going to do it. Then don't let it eat into your brain constantly. Oh, this is pointless. Oh, this is stupid, because it's so easy to get negative so quickly in a school filled with things like that. If you've decided you've got to do it, try not to just let that eat away at you. And like you said, if you're doing it in bulk, you can just get it done.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to then on it's 5:30 on a random Tuesday and you've done everything you need to do just to stay afloat in the job. And you're like, I've not covered maths book 2 for these 6 kids.
Yeah.
Just don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I think that's a really good tip. And thinking about the start of the year now, you've done all these other things. You've started learning their names. You've got your bulk jobs done up front and ready to go. It's day 1, however, and you know this class because of the previous teacher. How important do you think it is that you give those children a clean slate?
Oh God, yeah. So that's huge. I think when you do handover talks with the previous teacher, there is information you have to know.
Yeah.
There is certain information you have to know. Having a complete blank slate would be really counterintuitive, because there'd be certain things you need to know about that child, who can't pick them up from school, right? If they have an allergy that you need to know about. And also just maybe even to an extent, relationships within the class. Like, oh, this person and that person really clash. We talked to the parents before. We have this dialogue. You need to know that as the teacher, because the last thing you'd want to do is to go to your new class, have a new seating plan, and then after school, one of the parents is like, we've agreed these don't sit together.
Yeah.
Because clearly you need to know certain things about the children. So when we say giving children a clean slate, we mean in terms of, and we've all sat there and we've all listened. I've probably done this passing on a class as well. I've definitely experienced it when I've heard information from their previous class teacher where, you say something, oh, this one.
Yeah.
And immediately it just sets the tone, doesn't it? Like, you're going through your class, go, oh, lovely. Yep, this one's fantastic. Really cracks on. Oh, X name, Y name. And it just immediately, as the new teacher, it puts you back up a bit. And have you ever had this before, right? Where you kind of don't like someone. I'm talking about someone in general, not even in your class now. But you kind of don't like them and they kind of irritate you. And they could do something that if anyone else did, you wouldn't bat an eyelid. But because it's that person doing it, it's that person eating their Doritos in a certain way, you think, oh, God, what an idiot.
Yeah,
like you just hate them.
I'm a human.
Yeah.
Of course I do. There's people in life that just irritate you more. And then because they irritate you already, they're predisposed to irritate you more with the same things that other people could do and not irritate you.
So I've found myself when I've had this preemption of this child of knowing, oh, it's a naughty kid, oh, it's a little pickle, oh, this person pushes the boat, this person does that. I found myself when they then do that, being much harsher, much quickly with them, than literally the person next to them maybe who might have done the same thing, but I've got this glowing report of how great they are, and I go, oh yeah, that's no problem. And that's not fair.
Yeah.
And I think
I agree.
what every single child deserves starting in September is that blank slate. By all means, if they're breaking the rules, you tell them what not to do, and you remind them. And absolutely, I'm not saying don't tell children off or don't remind them of things, but it's that preemption. I would want to treat every single child the same in terms of that, and then react only from what they do. Because I'd make a big thing at the start of the year saying, we're a clean slate here, brand new class. Let's crack on. Let's be the best class we can be.
Yeah. I think the worst possible thing you can do from a kid's perspective is they know they've misbehaved in the previous year, is they come up and instantly realize that you're already treating them differently.
Yeah.
Because you've made a judgment already, and they're like, cool, written you off already. That's it. That you've lost them straight away because they think, oh, they're just like my last teacher. They just don't like me. That's what they think. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, the last teacher did not like them, but kids think that. They say, oh, that teacher doesn't like me. That's why I'm in trouble.
And realistically, sometimes teachers absolutely make it clear they don't like certain children.
Yeah, of
That
course.
is true.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, like, we don't want a new kid in your class to be thinking that. So you're right. They deserve a fresh start. They deserve the rules to be applied from them from sort of the base again. And if they break the rules, that's up to them, isn't it? And then the same punishments can be applied, but I think it's very important.
Are there extremities to that rule? Are there certain children you think, I do just have to treat you differently from the start because of what you've done and how you've been?
I can't think of a good example, but I'm sure there is, like on the absolute extreme scale, someone who's maybe really violent or something like that, that has a history of violence where you wouldn't just be like, oh, I'll just give them a chance and it's not worth the risk. It's they're consistently behaving like this for any adult. Yeah. Maybe don't just presume they'll be
when it's
fine.
For safety.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Right,
but someone just shouts out a bit more.
Yeah,
I'm not going to immediately be on them more. And I think you just have to be fair. And then what I've quite often done is when you're trying to foster relationships, which really is the ultimate meta point that we're thinking about here, isn't it? It's about having really nice, positive relationships with all the kids in your class. When I've had these children that have come up with these reports, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go. They're going to be a bit of a pickle. I will just make the time for them at the start of the year as quick as possible to take them aside and have that conversation. If they do something naughty, and be like, look, mate, you've got a fresh start here. Okay, I'm not going to treat you any differently to the rest of the class, but I'm
going to give you a special talk. No
it is kind of in a way, isn't it? But it's like a psychological thing of like, I'm telling you right now that I'm really actively trying to not tarnish you with the label that you've clearly given yourself in previous years. I am giving you a fresh start. Don't blow it. Like, I'm giving you that chance. And I think sometimes kids appreciate hearing that you're not just going to assume, oh no, you're just naughty, I'm going to write you off.
What would you say to someone listening who's thinking, oh yeah, I need these top tips, and they're maybe, they're going to school and they try and implement this, and then that child just slips into exactly what they were last time? Would you say to them, okay, look, at least try?
That is it. At least try. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that like there's this perfect reality where by doing this little thing that I just said here, to one side. It works. It's worked. My success rate of that is probably like 20%.
Sure.
Like, in all honesty, I'll try it with all the kids, and sometimes it works, which is the only reason I'm giving that tip.
Yeah.
But there are some times where it doesn't work, and I can't completely control how someone behaves. I can put as much in as possible in the same way a parent can and a family can. But at the end of the day, like, I'm not actually their brain. Right. I can't actually just make them behave a certain way. Yeah. I can try my best. That's it.
So this is kind of the point I'm getting at in terms of these tips are really vital and important. But I think one tip we can extrapolate from this in general is be kind to yourself. Give yourself some leeway. Not everything is your fault. Like, you can't do everything for those children. I saw this amazing analogy the other day, and it was this person sat there and they said, if you hire a personal trainer to train you, to train you up, to get you in shape, to keep you accountable, and then you don't show up to the gym, would you ever blame the personal trainer?
No,
that's on you. Of course not.
Yeah.
So when a child is actively deciding not to join into the lesson,
right,
is actively deciding to play up, is not putting effort in, why on earth do we turn to just simply blaming the teacher and saying, well, actually, and just I can imagine this idea of just turning to the teacher going, well, what did you do to encourage them? What did you do to make this an environment where they might want to not throw that chair? What did you do to make sure that they are interested in their learning all the time? And what I would want to say to teachers is, by all means try, by all means do what you can, but my goodness me, it is not your fault if a child is consistently doing the wrong thing and not bothering to even show any effort. Don't beat yourself up about it. Don't think, oh, these two guys on a podcast said just put your arm around a kid and they should be all right. No, we're not saying that. What we're saying is this is ways you can try to do it. But ultimately, if a child and a family aren't buying into education and aren't trying their hardest and aren't doing what they can, there comes a point where you say, that's on you, mate. And I'm so sorry, but I'm going to do what I can. I'm a professional. If you're not going to even remotely try to join in, that's your fault.
Yeah, you go into mitigation mode. I can get around this, but there's literally, I'm at my limitations now. There's nothing else I can do. It's not in my power. I think that's a really good point, and it is a wider point as well. It's not even just that situation. Like, just being kind to yourself, just treating yourself like a friend. It applies to another example. Let's say you had an observation at school and it didn't go as planned. We've all been there. Everyone's had an observation where you think, oh, either you think, oh, I just messed that up. Like, that did not go to my script, didn't go to my plan at all. And people were watching it and it just, oh, all messed up. You really don't need to be horrible. I've done it. You don't have to be horrible to yourself. Like, it's completely pointless. Like, you can reflect on it and maybe think about a target and move on, but you just have to get over it and move on. Like, you can't beat yourself up over one little thing.
It's how you would treat your colleague next door who went through the same thing.
So true.
Right? You absolutely would not go into that room and talk to that colleague in the same way a lot of people talk to themselves if things go wrong. I've been in that situation before where things have gone wrong and I really wound myself up and I've been annoyed at myself and I've not given myself any slack whatsoever.
Yep.
And I've thought the worst about myself. And like, oh, you're a rubbish teacher. You can't even control a class. You can't even do a simple maths lesson. You're just doing perimeter. How easy is that? How can you get these kids to control themselves? It's your fault these kids are going crazy and this feedback was bad. No. Just chill. Because if you had that same feedback, I would be the first person in that room genuinely going, don't worry, you can't control that. What did you do that was really good? Look, yeah, next time try something different. It's not on you. Like you can have these, you can try and improve yourself. You've got the best attitude going. You're being reflective. You're already thinking about how you can make it better next time. Don't beat yourself up. I would not have the same inner monologue with myself than I do with my friend. And I just think that tip of just treat yourself like you treat your mate. I think that can flip you a lot and help you get out of that hole of that self-doubt and that self-loathing.
Yeah, I agree. And there's one other way you can approach, particularly with bad feedback from observations, is just do what I did and just sort of develop your arrogance a little bit more and then just go, nah, the people giving me the feedback were wrong. Did that a few times in my career.
Have you seen that meme of Principal Skinner? It's from The Simpsons, right?
Yeah.
It's Principal who's head of the church and he's just standing there pondering something and he goes, maybe it's me that's wrong. And then it just cuts to him, nah, the children are wrong. It's this idea of going, maybe I do need to change. Or I create a podcast where I tell everyone how I'm right instead. And I become an evil villain.
Yeah. But you know what? Like even in this meme that we're having right now, there are two prongs to it because yes, you sometimes, like I've certainly done this, you've just been a bit arrogant and thought, no, I'm not taking this feedback.
You've been
actually.
arrogant.
It's got your back up. And you thought, no, actually, I just think they're wrong. And sometimes they are wrong. Sometimes it is just it's a battle of opinions. It's like an SLT member or whoever's observing your lesson might genuinely just have an opinion on a particular pedagogy that they thought wasn't good in your lesson, and you're like, well, I adamantly think this is a good thing, and I will continue to use this. We are just disagreeing, and that does happen. I'm not saying that happens all the time. You shouldn't really. I'm just to clarify here. I don't actually think you should just dismiss all feedback ever as, well, you're just wrong. I'm always right. Probably good to be a bit reflective, but sometimes though, like if the end goal is you're beating yourself up about it, and they are literally just wrong. Right. That's like doubling down. Yeah. You're beating yourself up over it and you're not even wrong.
Or not even wrong, just different. Like if there was only one way to deliver stuff and the best possible optimal way of teaching ever, we'd all be doing the same thing. So it is clearly not. It's clearly just an opinion.
Is it you? I'm sure it was you. Didn't you have an observation once?
Right.
Where they literally, I'm thinking really early in your career, where they literally said there wasn't any like criticism or negative feedback, so they had to make something up.
Yeah. So this was true. It's so true. I had an observation once, and basically the line was at the end of it. I haven't really written anything down. I've got to put something.
Negative.
I've got to put something in this could be improved column. So I'll have a think what you think might go in there. They threw it to me.
Yeah.
And I think that's fine. I think that's a good tool, actually.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? In general.
It.
But when you've prefaced it with, it was absolutely fine, almost make something up because then we can tick off that you've made that progress. I'm like, okay, what is the point in this then?
Yeah.
And I think do you know what? On that, this is kind of separate, I suppose, but I'm really passionate about that because I think sometimes you should just go to someone and say, well done.
Yeah. I think all the time.
So what I'm saying is, even in formal observations, sometimes like you should be doing this all the time, absolutely. But it, saying well done is a complete sentence. You don't need to sandwich everything.
Yeah,
you don't need to always constantly think, how could this possibly be improved? Because we know everything could be improved a bit. But you know what? Sometimes, and if not most of the time, it's enough and it's good.
Yeah. They are honestly the worst leaders I've experienced in my time, are the ones that have to sandwich everything. Everything has to be a positive and a next step. It doesn't need to be. The best leaders I've had, I'm sure they've got an internal ratio. They probably work on it. It's probably a management skill, a people skill they've developed where they think, I'm going to be just positive to these people as much as I can. And then occasionally, when I need to sprinkle in some, actually, we need to work on this thing, they're not going to think, everything I do is wrong, isn't it? That sort of thing. And speaking of like professional development, I think that's another tip almost, which is, I'm sure we can all think of 5 things we need to work on. Like, there are so many skills involved in teaching and no one is perfect at all of them. It's just not possible. But you can be really good at some things and you can maybe be a bit weaker in other areas. But when it comes to developing them, just pick one. Just pick one. Is it your behavior management?
Mhm.
Is it your ability to manage a TA? Is it your curriculum knowledge, and it's specifically in history? Whatever it is, and maybe it has come from an observation, just focus on that one thing. Don't beat yourself up over it, but do just focus on the one thing and develop it. And then when it comes to it, maybe a year later, it's a year cycle. Ask someone when they're observing you, say, can you specifically give me feedback on this thing? Because this is the thing I've been trying to work on. I think that's a better approach than just scattergunning like, oh, here's 19 things I've got to work on and I'm a failure if I don't do them all.
That's a thread that's gone through a lot of these. And I think it's really important, basically. You could condense it down to, look, you are a professional, trust your judgment, and don't expect to fix everything at once. Like we said about the rules, have a few at a time, nail them. Don't expect to have perfection. You have progress.
Yep.
I love that saying, progress, not perfection. Don't worry that everything's not absolutely amazing. Don't worry you're not spinning all your plates beautifully. Spin 3 plates, keep them up, get them perfect, and then add a plate after. Don't feel like you have to fix everything straight away. And this does link in with my next tip that did transform my scatterbrain in teaching, but it's got the potential to be used badly.
Okay.
So there's my cryptic. What I'm
intrigued.
About. What could it be? I'm talking about to-do lists.
Right.
So I remember I was 2 years into my teaching, my second year, I think, and my head of year bought us all, you were in my year group at that time,
yes,
bought us all a notepad that was specifically a to-do list, as in it had a little box at the side, you could write down your lists. And I obviously immediately thought, I've never used a to-do list in my life. Oh yeah, that's why I was so scattered. So a to-do list was vital in my career, and I'd say to anyone smashing September now, getting ready, get yourself a to-do list. Lots of you probably already do it. You might do post-it notes, you might do an electronic version, you might do it on a notepad, but this isn't my main point. My main point on how to use to-do list properly is the same thread we've just been talking about.
Right.
Don't see it as a target for each day that you've got to tick it all off.
Mm-hmm.
No. See it as I can now organize and prioritize my tasks.
Yeah, I got you. So when you're writing them down, did you do anything in particular with that? Like to say to yourself, look, here's every job ever that I've got to do. But how did you prioritize? Like, was it just in your head, or did you have a system or something?
It's very simple. It started off in my head, and I thought, at points it was just in my head as well, in terms of I could just scan the list very quickly.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't trying to remember my list, my cognitive energy could go on just looking at the list and going, okay, look, this has to be done today. Like that, I've got to mark those maths books because they're doing that tomorrow. Yeah. I've got to get this to my SLT because they've got a meeting in the evening or whatever it might be. I've got to do these things, done. And I'd do them, and I wouldn't even bother with the rest of the list at all. And then I'd look at the clock, and if it's the end of my time, cool, I'll go. Or I'll think, well, I could do that. It's an option. Something might stay on my list for 5 minutes. Something might stay on my list for 5 months.
I was literally about to say, did you ever find that you had something on your to-do list that was like, you've written 47 other things since then, you've still not crossed that one off?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important to know, and that kind of sums up my point. A teacher's to-do list is never, ever, ever complete, ever. So why are we trying to burn ourselves out getting through our literal to-do list in front of us? Yeah. It's okay. And all it served as, the to-do list, and I say all, it really did transform how my career, to be honest with you. It served as a way of organizing the jobs that I've got and being able to prioritize, because I could say to myself, this job is just not important. If at any point this to-do list is empty apart from this job, I'll get it done.
I'll do it,
Oh, what's that? You want me to do some displays in the corridor of the hallway, which no one sees. Okay, cool. It's gone on my to-do list. But I think you would understand that if I rank that as a 3 on my to-do list, the ones of me actually planning the lesson for the children tomorrow, that kind of needs to get done first.
Exactly. Yeah. And the problem is the teacher, like, that is exactly it. It's like, would you, Mr. or Mrs. SLT, would you rather, I've got an hour left of the time that you're paying me for, would you rather I planned a lesson for next week or did this display? It's one or the other. Just having that mindset, isn't it, of it's not an endless list and I don't have endless time. I absolutely fell into that trap for the first few years of my career. I had a to-do list, unlike you. However, it was just, I wrote things down and I just did them in that order.
Right.
Like I didn't prioritize, and it was kind of like every job is of equal weighting. And if it takes me till 8 p.m, then that's just how it goes, because the teacher's job never ends.
What effect did that have on you? And like, why did that change? What made that change? Was it just you?
I was burning out. I was burning out. Like as my life became more busy, just normal things. Like we moved house in my second or second year of teaching, I think, or maybe third year, we bought our first house together. So that obviously just came with mortgage payments and actually just living in your own house rather than living with your parents.
Mortgage payments famously take up your time.
Yeah, I know. I realized, as I was saying it, I was like, that's probably the worst time-consuming thing I can ever think
I've got
about.
to set up a direct debit. Oh, it'll be 2 minutes.
Don't worry, I told Lauren that. Yeah, I tell you what, Lauren, this is my 50% of house chores. Crikey, this mortgage payment does take me some bloody time. I tell you that.
It takes me. It's weird. It takes me the exact amount of time cleaning, cooking, and doing all the dishes.
Do you mind doing dinner tonight, love? Because I've just got to pay this mortgage bill.
You couldn't sound more misogynistic
I know,
right
that's
now.
the point. I'm playing a part here. It wasn't really like that, honestly. But
for the sake of doubt, anyone listening,
I was playing a role there. If you didn't get my sweet acting abilities there. But going back to my point of my to-do list,
mortgages take ages.
Mortgages take ages, and I was burning out. I just couldn't do that to-do list when the mortgage was on that list. But I was burning out. Basically,
I remember you talking to me, almost relaying a conversation you had with a leader. Who is sent, and because it was from a leader, I think it stuck with you a bit more because you were like thinking, I'm pandering to you, doing everything you asked me to do.
Yeah.
That leader said something along the lines of, if it's that important, they'll chase you up.
Yeah, it was like the best worst advice I've ever had in terms of like, it sounds terrible.
Yeah.
If a leader says to you, just don't do it, they'll chase you up. It sounds objectively awful, but the undertones was really vital. I never forgot it, which was...
The reason it sounds awful is because they're the ones sending you the stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
And obviously, and they're kind of speaking on behalf of other SLTs who might disagree with that. So I felt like, I was a bit like, this is naughty, you telling me this.
Yeah.
But it was true though, and it did work. There were some things when I started prioritizing that went to the bottom of that list that I thought, oh God, someone else has asked me to do this. Therefore it's so important because I couldn't possibly make someone else think that I can't do something because I was a proper people pleaser. So I'd always value it more just because they asked me, by the way, not because it's actually important. And then, it was like, oh, hang on. I left that for 3 weeks and they never asked for it again. Even they don't think it was important. They actually forgot it's that unimportant. And I had it up here on a pedestal. So prioritizing, hierarchy, whatever you want to call it, with your to-do list. Have the to-do list in the first place. Step 1, the bit that Dylan couldn't do, really easy. Everyone can do that. Step 2, the important bit, prioritize it. And not every job is equal.
Which comes from a really strict line that you set yourself. Like you said, how do I know when to not do any more of the to-do list? Because you set yourself a time.
Yep.
You say, oh no, guys, it's 5:30. Like, it's ridiculous. I could have set my time for 5 or 4:45, whatever it might be. I've set my time here, and if I can't get it done, tough.
Yeah.
No, not later. No, I won't get that done after, actually. It's not, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to come into work tomorrow, and any time I get, I'll continue to work through my list. And this kind of bleeds in again. A lot of these link together.
I know. I was just thinking this links to one of our other tips. I'm hoping you'll go in the same place I'm thinking.
It's almost as if 3, 2, 1, pay your mortgage quickly.
I was thinking that. I'll tell you what, 3, 2, 1, build your own routine. Yes.
And that, I don't ever want to come across condescending because I know sometimes when we do episodes like this, you think, guys, people know this. And I know a lot of what we said today, you're aware of, but hopefully we're just being very specific and helping you out with those nuances. And it should really help you smash it. But building a routine is completely vital. And part of that routine for me was building the resilience and the confidence to say, nah, that's the end of my time. Because as a teacher, you haven't actually got a clock off time, regardless as to what people might say online about those bloody lefty wokey teachers just eating their tofu at lunchtime, doing their ticky-tockies and doing their thing. They're leaving school at 3:30 when the kids do.
Disclaimer, also playing a character. Just in case anyone thinks that's real as well.
Yeah, we don't leave when the kids leave, honestly. No. It's saying it, but like, there's no cutoff. You honestly could work until 8 p.m. every day if you wanted to. Yeah. You have to build your own routine that says, no, my routine is I'm leaving at this time.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go home. I'm going to make my dinner. I'm going to go and do whatever my hobby is, because on a Tuesday I go and play football 5-a-side, or on a Thursday I go to my chess club and play chess with my mates.
Yeah.
Or on a Friday I go and do Dungeons and Dragons. Whatever it is, whatever you've got that you like doing. I don't know. Whatever it is, build your own routine. And within that routine, obviously you're going to be malleable, because there might be times where, do you know what? It would help me actually just to get this work done. I'll do an extra half hour, but you should try as much as possible to have non-negotiables in that week.
That's what I was going to say. Have build in non-negotiables. Like you said, if you want to change your own non-negotiable on the one-off, then obviously that's fine. But generally, other people need to know that's your baseline. You don't get to choose SLT or another member of staff, whatever, to change my non-negotiable time. It just doesn't work like that. So build it in. Have a think right now. If you don't already have that, what could it be?
Maybe like listening to a podcast about teaching on your way to work every Monday morning and Wednesday morning when we release our episodes.
On the way home, you say to SLT, "No, I'm sorry, my non-negotiable time 3:30. I leave this school and I listen to the podcast. That's just how it works." All right?
And the podcast told me that's okay. And I can play it to you if you want. All right?
Yeah, but have a think though. You think, sometimes it sounds silly, but I tell you what, the majority of teachers I've met literally don't have a non-negotiable. They're like, oh yeah, I don't really build in any time for me. If I've got time, I'll do something. It's like, no. Think the other way around. Build that in first, then don't let things interrupt that. That's your time.
It's like when people say, "Oh, I've got half term and I'm so burnt out and exhausted. I don't even have the energy to do anything for myself." So those people who don't build it in as part of their weekly routine never get it.
No,
because they're burning out during term time. I've not got time for myself. I just got to get this done. I've got working at the weekends. Do you know it's all right though? Because when I get to the half term, it'll be for me. They get there and they're done in.
Yeah, they haven't planned anything.
They haven't planned anything because that's what makes me sad. And if work's your life and you want to do that, crack on. Fantastic for you. But if you're struggling with it and you haven't yet tried to do this and you haven't yet built in that routine and that end goal and actually other things as well in your time that you could be doing, that's something you should really try and do as soon as possible.
I've got a good non-negotiable for you, and it is one of our tips. It's regarding emails. It's a very small one, but it's vital. Take the app off your phone. Do not have your work emails on your phone. Again, like Dylan said, look, if you really want to, it is ultimately your choice, but I'm advising you for your own mental health and burnout and all this stuff, just don't look at emails outside of a certain time. I mean, that's your point, isn't it? It's like you even go as far as having like set windows or whatever it is for looking at emails.
My point with emails is, right, you can't actually, some schools do control it as a kind of like school-wide thing, but you can't actually control when someone sends you an email.
Yeah, of course.
So if you're at the beck and call and it's on your phone, you get a notification and you say, oh, it's fine, I'll just do this. You can end up spending micro time all day looking at your phone, checking, oh, something beeped, I've got this, I've got that. Whereas I'd say to people, and this is what I do, I would check my email in the morning and I check my email after school.
Yeah.
And if anything was so important during school that you needed me, because by the way, during school day, I am working. I am in front of the children.
Yeah.
And if you walked in and saw me checking my emails, you'd probably be like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
why are you not teaching?
exactly.
So I am actually working. And that's why I check before and after. And I think that's really important to do because it's just giving yourself the boundary and the respect to say to someone, oh, I'll get back to you. I can get back to you within a day easily. I've got 2 windows in my day where I check my emails. If my job was just sat checking emails all day, obviously that wouldn't be acceptable. But it's not. This is one small part of my job and I'm not going to let it take over. And so, some days I'll check it once. And you know what? The next morning I'll see, someone emailed me at lunchtime yesterday wanting this thing. If they wanted it that day, they would have come and see me. If they didn't, then I can just check it today.
Yeah,
it's not an issue.
Nothing winds me up more. I mean, it does, but it just winds me up a bit. Someone emailing you, someone in
Hayden,
the school.
Listen. Sorry, no. we put clips out on the internet. You have to say the worst thing in the world.
Yeah. Sorry, this is for the clip. The worst thing in the world that's ever happened to me ever in a school in existence of all time. Is that about right? Something like that.
That's great, but you have to carry on talking.
Oh, I've got to carry on for the clip. Yeah. I can't edit that in. Right.
No.
Something terrible that happens to me in school that I really bears my bugs. Is that the right phrase? Is that good?
Yeah, keep asking me. Just keep going.
That's fine. I'll keep going. You can edit that.
Yeah, you're making it really tricky to make clips here. But crack on.
So something that genuinely really annoys me is people that work literally in school who know what you're doing as a teacher, by the way. They know you're teaching a class, emailing you during that time for something that genuinely needs to be done that day, or like information of it. So, maybe another teacher's out of class, or whatever, and they email you, before you go home, would you mind just telling this kid this thing? And I'm like, mate, it's 2:00 and I'm already teaching in the afternoon. Of course I'm not going to see this email. Like, what do you think I'm doing?
You see it after you've dismissed your class and you're like, I just let them go. I've got no idea. Of course
it has happened. So I can't actually believe how many times in my career I've got to the end of the day and read an email and thought, as if they've sent that to me mid-teaching. Like, it's so clearly something I needed to know now.
Can you make sure the asthma pump goes home with this kid? Not really. Not really.
Yeah. Don't let this kid walk home today, just specifically today. Like, oh my God, why is this not? And that's never happened, to be fair, but that would be genuinely terrible. Yeah.
Safeguarding.
That is just
but the point being, in that situation, what would always happen, if you don't reply, I've had this a million times, they'd come to you. They'd come to your door. Did you get my email?
Yeah.
Sorry, I've got a picture of a Roman shield on the board and I'm teaching a different way.
Yeah.
No, I haven't seen your email, actually.
No.
And then they'll say to the kid, oh, can you tell this kid this? Yeah, go on then.
Yeah, can you do it?
Right here. Yeah. No, that's, I think, hopefully, people from these tips, they're not too stale. Because last thing we want to do is just say what everyone knows. We know the basics. So we tried to really go into specifics there.
Yeah.
I'd love to know, you can get in touch with us on our Instagram or our TikTok at Teach Sleep Repeat Podcast, what you thought. And if you have any other tips as well, get in touch, let us know, because we can share them in the future. Hayden, September's here. Anything you want to sign off with?
Well, I will say that these tips have all been absolutely fantastic, but Dylan, I won't be applying them because I quit teaching. So you guys have fun. Good luck with these. If you want my top tip, is just don't go back in September. That's what I'm doing. Apparently, it's the best tip.
God's sake. Just do what every other influencer does online and just pretend you still teach.
I can't do it. These guys know what we're doing. But hopefully from our decade plus 3 years experience, whatever you got, it totaled 19.
I would love to be in your maths lessons if you're grouping all one-digit numbers as the same.
It's irrelevant. It's just so unimportant when it's a one-digit number. But obviously a decade, decades, you could even say. Decade, bracket S,
19, like answer. Well, answer's the only thing we care about. 19 at the end. 19 years.
Us. But we have got that experience. At the end of the day,
Don't backtrack now, mate. You're at the... See ya. No, they've just ploughed an hour into this. You'll say, I must see you later, guys. I'm not following my own...
Shall I not even bother? I won't even try and redeem myself.
Just say bye, ask them to review the podcast, because now we've not got a real job. Reviewing the podcast is really important.
Yeah, can you review the podcast, please? We've not got a real job, so this is really important. Yeah, cheers, mate.
Bye.